In a minute, I would like to talk about Dennis, who I term the anti-mentor. But before I do that, then I would like to go over the attributes of a mentor. A mentor helps a protege or mentee develop their attributes or their aspirations and future goals. A mentor is caring and respectful. And a mentor uses their own experience to help guide the protege into long-term success. Now, back to Dennis. Because Dennis is the opposite of all of that, it seems to me. It was in the year 2000 that I took on a new job, and that was to be the branch manager of an employment agency in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Now, Cheyenne is just north of Colorado, and there's lots of cities down there, and I was assigned to Fort Collins, Colorado, to get my training before I could open my own branch. And I was to report to the branch manager there, Dennis. I remember that very first morning when I reported to Fort Collins. I arrived there bright and early. That office opened at 5:30 a.m. And I was met by Dennis at the door. And he's a tall, wiry fellow, kind of reeking of smoke. But Dennis said, "George, just sit back there and watch." Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was shocked at what I watched and saw. Dennis was so rude and mean to his employees, his workers. He cussed at them. He demeaned them in every way. He would fire them at the drop of a hat. If a worker came back early from the job for any reason, they were fired. I remember that he had a poster up on his wall that said, "Your history if you try to tell me how to do my job." That was the atmosphere that I was trained in. Now, I want you to know that I wasn't used to that kind of atmosphere. My prior job, I was a salesman for a medical laboratory, and I called on medical offices and hospitals and clinics. I was used to talking to doctors and nurses and CEOs, and office managers, lab techs. Now I found myself on the side of life that I just wasn't used to. I remember that morning sitting back there and saying to myself, "This is not me. This is not me." I hung in there. I didn't quit. But I'm a Christian. And it was about day 20 into my training, and I'm standing at the counter helping people sign up for jobs. And I don't know why, but a fellow approached the counter, and I had the overwhelming feeling that this was Jesus Christ in the flesh. I was flummoxed, yet I managed to get him signed up. But this event brings to question this thought: how do you treat a worker, or any person for that matters, if you really just don't know who they are standing before you? It seems to me that we should treat everyone with kindness and love and respect. And that was just the opposite of what Dennis was doing. I want you to know that ultimately I found this job very rewarding. I was able to help so many people who were just down and out. They were struggling to make ends meet. One fellow that comes to mind was Jim. And Jim, one day I was told he was sitting out in his car in front of the office waiting for a job, but he had not eaten for 2 days. Well, I walked down to Burger King, which was a half a block away, and I bought him a Whopper meal, and I came back to his car and presented him with this Whopper. And he just sat there and started crying. Well, later on, Jim was able to start his own business, working with leather inside of a Western wear store. and they specialized in saddle and tack. So he did a lot of leather work. Well, another fellow that comes to mind was Jerry. And Jerry only worked for me for about a month. And at the end of that month, he came to me and thanked me for helping him get through the tough times. He said he now had a permanent job and it paid him very well. Now I have many other gratifying examples I could share with you, but I hope you see my point, that this job made you feel like you were doing good in the world. Well, my final point today is that yes, Dennis was my trainer. He was my anti-mentor. He showed me exactly what not to do. You don't yell at people. You always treat them with love and kindness and respect. Because when you really think about it, you just don't know who might be standing before you.